Luke, is this as big as it seems it is? Is this as big as this feels this is? What a night for those of an Aston Villa persuasion at Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Bayern Munich 0. An astonishing, busy game full of hijinks, amazing saves, offside goals, and an amazing whack from Jhon Durán.
What a whack!
What a whack, Lukey.
You've summed that up. See you tomorrow.
You see it tomorrow. Everything in the middle of Oktoberfest as well. What's not to love about that? Even even the most sober minds in Munich would probably
of which there are none.
You know what? Of which there are none. Would probably say, you know what? I think Villa deserved that because they kept on going. Even when they didn't have the ball, and they didn't have the ball for the first 15 minutes, they kept on going, Lukey Moore.
It was an incredible night. It was very reminiscent of Newcastle United a year ago playing against PSG in their first home game in at the top European table for however long, 20 odd years, and it just felt like that tonight for Villa. You know, first time they've been in the European Cup / Champions League for a long old time, and the atmosphere sounded utterly incredible. And what really hit home about it was, of course, these interviews beforehand with Peter Weir and one of his teammates won the 1982 European Cup, and it's really nice for them to get like some national press and attention, and because I sometimes feel like those players get a bit left behind with how big football is these days, right? And it just really hit home how big a club Aston Villa are and how big a moment it is for them to be back in this Champions League or European Cup / Champions League, and the atmosphere just seemed incredible. I really wanted to be there, and when Newcastle played PSG, I remember before the game, I was the only one out of all of us who said that Newcastle would win, because I just thought there's no way they're going to be denied on a night like this, and it seemed the same at Villa. The thing that really hit home for me wasn't the Jhon Durán winner, which I'm sure we'll come on to. It was the noise when that goal that was eventually disallowed went in. It was incredible.
Okay,
It was like a fucking wall of sound. And admittedly, for that goal to have gone in, which was later disallowed anyway, there had to be some absolutely atrocious Bayern defending. Which,
I mean, usually players would try an overhead kick at that point. They knew that they had the chance to sort of lay it off for someone to poke home at the end of the day. But you're right, there was some atrocious Bayern Munich chaotic defending.
Upamecano particularly was really poor. He struggled all night.
Dragging people down, knocking people over. He got a deserved yellow in the end, but I mean,
he could have had one before that.
Could have had one before that, and that would have been a really pivotal moment for the player. I'm so excited. I can't say pivotable because you know what?
Say
pivotable again. Say pivotable. Risible and pivotable. I mean, 6 years ago today, it's worth reminding ourselves that 6 years ago today, and Vish reminded us of this in the WhatsApp group just before we started the show. A draw with Preston inspired a Villa fan to throw a cabbage at Steve Bruce, and tonight they're beating Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Steve Bruce loses Newcastle, they're beating PSG in the Champions League. What you need is a little bit of Steve Bruce to give you the good times, baby.
I think the top three biggest Villa nights in history, number 3 tonight, number 2 the 1982 European Cup triumph, and number 1 Steve Bruce cabbage.
The Steve Bruce cabbage,
that really put them on the map. You know that kind of that Korean fan who said he started supporting Newcastle because Alan Pardew headbutted someone. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of Villa fans around the world who've joined up with the whole foul jamboree because of Steve Bruce and the cabbage. Look, I thought it was an amazing night. I genuinely thought there was a good chance Villa would win. I'm not just saying that because of the atmosphere, because of the relative difference in quality of the two coaches as well. I mean, Kompany's very lucky to be in that Bayern Munich job. Unai Emery is such an old stager at European competition. You could see he would work out a way to do something if anyone could. Yeah. And you're right to say for the first 10, 15 minutes, Villa couldn't really get the ball, could they? But their plan was to soak and strike, was to soak it all up and know they've got quality on the break. And that played into their hands because Bayern Munich, those two centre-backs, who both had a pretty poor time of it, particularly Upamecano, are not comfortable turning around and running back towards their own goal. And Watkins is perfect for that. And just when you feel like you've seen off Watkins, Jhon Durán comes in and basically scores every single time he comes off the bench. It's the only player I've ever seen that does this so well, that can pick up the pace of a top level game so quickly, which is an underrated skill, incredibly hard to do. Is as Ole Solskjaer is the only one I can think of that could do that, and Durán seems to make an art form of it.
Bit closer in though, in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's
yeah, he's a bit more. Yeah,
he was a bit
more
of a fox in the box. Yeah, but like,
Predator.
I mean, do you realistically need to judge the pace of a match or pick it up really quickly when you're just hitting it first time anyway? You're not taking a touch. The little, I think people have been posting memes on Twitter of like the devil in his ear going, just fucking hose it, just whack it, just absolutely.
Neuer was caught in no man's land, wasn't he? Neuer was caught in the middle of nowhere.
What was he doing out there? I don't really know what. I mean, I know it was coming out of their own sort of box, I suppose. So he probably thought that they wouldn't sort of get through so quickly, and it was a good but not great pass from Torres, wasn't it? Pau Torres, he probably didn't expect, but he should have expected Jhon Durán to take it first time, and he was at full stretch, and Neuer was like, you never see Neuer that. Not panicky, but you just see it. You never see Neuer at full stretch that far out of his goal. It was incredible.
He does spend a lot of his time outside of his goal, though. He does spend a lot of his time kind of on the prowl, kind of affecting the game. He's that kind of archetypal sweeper keeper, isn't he? And I think sometimes I feel like, and I'm sure this isn't the case, because Bayern Munich have got a credible amount of experience and they've got players who've played at the top level for a long time. But I do think sometimes teams are surprised by the pace of a Premier League team. How quickly they can move it, how quickly they can go from back to front if they need to. And Neuer was clearly caught on his heels, like miles out of his goal. And of course, it takes a great presence of mind and calmness in the moment and instinct and knowing what the goal is and all that kind of stuff to score from there. But he could only do that because Neuer was so far out of his goal. But I love the fact that Emi Martínez, who had a fucking brilliant game again, by the way, probably because of his antics, as we were saying earlier this week, because of his antics, probably doesn't get the respect as a keeper that he deserves. And that's his own, let me make this absolutely clear, that's his own fault. But he was brilliant again. And he called Jhon Durán's goal one of the best goals in history.
Yeah, I mean, Emi, I don't necessarily agree with that, but and I guess it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like it feels really significant and it feels awesome and amazing, but on the score sheets, if you look back, you sort of go, oh my God, Bayern Munich beaten at home in a European competition by Aston Villa for the first time. They've been in this competition for a very long time. It is an ailing Bayern side, and it is a Bayern side in transition, and. Is this
quite simply managed by Vincent Kompany? And that's all you need to say.
And you're quite simply managed by Vincent Kompany. So Villa should be looking to. Well, we spoke about this earlier today when we were recording Monday's Ramble. No, wait, Wednesday's Ramble.
I heard you talking about the Harry Kane inflatable mattress.
Love pillow, the old Japanese love pillow with Harry Kane on the front. And the knobbly sticks. Let's not forget the Harry Kane knobbly sticks.
I would Peter, how long have you known me, and have you ever known me to forget a knobbly stick? Be honest.
I think they should replace parts of his feet with knobbly sticks, and he might return from injury a bit quicker. But like Villa should be treating this, as Jim said, as a lovely day out, because you were never going to concentrate your Champions League campaign on winning 3 points against Bayern Munich, because you have so much more easier games, more winnable games. But my goodness, like they put on such a great show, and it was such a great, the official curtain raiser, I think, for their Champions League campaign. Forget about what's gone before, but this is the proper home leg curtain raiser under the lights. Even the Crypto.com advertising looked good. Even the Lay's potato crisp look good on the side.
I don't think you
advertorials.
You can't criticise a Lay potato chip. I mean, they're fine, aren't they?
No, they're fine.
Yeah, I don't think they deserve to be in the same category as Crypto.com, whatever that is. But you're absolutely right. And part of the reason part of the reason the outpouring of annoyance at the way that the club hiked the prices for these Champions League games is because it made it far less likely that you'd have a night and an atmosphere like we've just witnessed, right? And that's really fucking important, because those fans who supported the team and helped them on their way to getting into the Champions League deserve the chance to see and support their team. And you're right to say it was the curtain raiser. And of course, in the first game, the first match week, they had a pretty routine win over Young Boys. in what could have been fairly difficult circumstances for all the reasons we covered at the time, and they're in a brilliant position now, Pete. I mean, next time they play, I think they play Bologna at home, which is a really winnable game. After that, they've got Club Brugge away, again winnable. They could find themselves with maximum points after 4 games. You know, with 4 games to go, could find themselves in that top 8. You know, they really could. Yeah. And this does show 2 things actually. One, there's a long way to go, so we don't get too ahead of ourselves, but it shows so far 2 things. One, the might of the Premier League, the financial muscle of the Premier League, the team that Aston Villa have been able to put together, and not even just that, the bench as well. Like, we've talked about Durán, but there's other players they've got available to come off the bench who are hugely talented. And also the quality and the experience of Unai Emery, who's a great coach, and he's really well suited for Aston Villa. And I think people who are listening to this show who perhaps only watch English football will think of Emery because of his time at Arsenal, and that didn't really quite work out for him. But you could probably argue that it wouldn't have worked out for anyone because it was a post-Arsene Wenger thing, and that's how it goes. He's an incredibly good coach, an incredibly successful coach, and he had a tactical plan there tonight, which was acknowledging that Bayern Munich have got all these weapons and all this experience at European level, and just playing to your strengths and hoping you'll get something. And you know what they did? They nicked it. They kept it tight. They limited Bayern Munich as much as they could. It was a bit hairy at times. There were chances. That free kick right at the end was a real nerve-wracking one. You could really feel the nerves of all the fans in the crowd when you saw the pictures, but they got through it. And it will go down in history as an amazing night for them. It really will, and rightly so.
You're watching a clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an upload. A single upload. Don't miss out on the uploads. The uploads are important.